We live, we die, we're gone. Nothing remains, right? Not entirely. Think of a historical person of your choice, somebody who has inspired you, somebody who made an ambitious discovery, somebody who composed a fantastic opera hundreds of years ago. Statistically speaking, with every breath you're taking, also right now, you're inhaling roughly 2 atoms of the last breath of that very person. You are breathing history throughout your entire life. Inhaling right now the atoms of last breath of an Albert Einstein, and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, a Julius Caesar, you name it. So, as it was introduced previously, yes, I am an analog astronaut. I'm the director of the Austrian Space Forum. So this one part of my life, there's one thing that wasn't mentioned much because it was not part of my professional life, but I was also serving as a paramedic for almost 30 years, and that gave me 2 very complementary approaches to life. So when you really call for emergency ambulances, it could have been in Austria that I was the one who was trying to give you a hand and serve you and hope that we both reach the hospital in a good condition. And that means I had the chance of having some unusual experiences in my life, like training how to save a life, but also how to fly a parabolic flight that was just mentioned before. By the way, this is something you can also do. It's a little bit expensive, but it's doable when you go with an airplane between 4,000 and 8,000 meters, up and down, up and down, up and down, 93 times. You feel a little bit like a stuntman, and with each parabola, you have 20 to 30 seconds of weightlessness where you can do fun stuff. You can run along the ceiling, you can play Superman, you can throw a human as a ball to play ball games. If you want to feel what it's like or think about what it's like, it's something like, think of doing a roller coaster ride upside down, underwater, after 3 beers. Okay? So it is, what I do is I have a little bit privileged situation. I get a sneak preview of a possible future. I'm trying to be part of a much larger team, and some of those team members are actually sitting in the audience, I realized, so that we are plotting a course into the future. That means working with advanced technologies, with robots that carry you through a simulated Mars area here in southern Spain. We did a mission half a year ago here in Armash in Armenia. So it kind of makes you think when you talk about the future that we are actually the first generation where Mars, and this is my professional life, is just becoming in reach. After 30,000 generations, by the way, that's the age of our species. We've been around for 30 generations now. We're the first one where we can say we can do it. The very first humans to be walking on Mars, they are already born and might be just going to an elementary school in Beijing, New York, or Yerevan. So when I ponder about life, both from a paramedic perspective, somewhere in between this magic moment of a baby's first cry and this silence when a human heart stops to beat, and then the observation when you look upwards that we have this intrinsic feeling, the gut feeling that there could be a connection between us down here on earth and the things and the wonders and miracles up there. It kind of really makes you think. And this is not only philosophical that there is a connection. Let me tell you 2 examples of how physical that connection there can be and how literally this combination can be. And this is something exemplified by the picture behind me where I see a shooting star. You know, the shooting star is a little rock from space that comes in with a few kilometers per second and makes the air glow, and you can even observe this from the International Space Station. Every day, our planet, which has a mass of 6 times 10 to the 24 kilogram, is becoming 40 tons heavier because of all those micrometeorites that are coming in. Most of them are really, really small, 1 to 300 micrometers, so they are barely visible to the naked eye. They don't make it to the ground. They might not even make a shooting star because they are just so small. So 40 tons of micrometeorites every day. 90% of those are coming from comets, 10% are coming from the asteroid belt. So whenever the Earth is passing through a comet's tail or the previous trajectory of a comet's tail, then we have shooting star evenings like the Perseids, the Leonids, the Orionids. You can mark your calendar if you want to go for shooting stars. Yeah? Most of those particles, of those 40 tons, are suspended in the atmosphere and transferred and transported with high altitude winds throughout the entire globe as droplets in the air. They're adhesive to little water droplets here as well, and then again driven against the winds. So when it rains, these particles are getting washed out. So every time you hold out your hand in the rain, you are catching a few of those invisible travelers that have been around for billions of years, that have been traveling trillions of kilometers as messengers from space. A few yotagram here and there with every raindrop. It is like a soft kiss from the cosmos, every rain. When the Apollo astronauts went to the moon and saw this, what they call the magnificent desolation, this magnificent point where the regolith of the moon directly meets the blackness of the sky. When they returned, realizing, of course, there's no weather on the moon, that when we have weather on the Earth, where people complain when it's raining, they say, how darn, we never complain about rain as astronauts anymore, because how darn privileged are we to live in a world, the life-threatening cosmos, where drinking water falls from the sky for free. This is the rare exception in the cosmos. So since my first missions, I've never complained about the rain again. And the connection goes even deeper. This is a picture from the James Webb Telescope of the Great Orion Nebulae, M42. Many amateur astronomers might know this. And if you zoom in to certain parts, you realize that our strange little structures there, not stars, but like bubbles, blobs, some dark clouds, some weird thingy here. And what you're seeing here, by the way, Orion Nebulae is 5,000 light years away. So the light we see it now was emitted at the time when the Great Pyramids of Gizeh have been built. And what you're looking at here are so-called proplets, which is the technical expression for baby solar systems. We are seeing stars being born. We are seeing solar systems being formed as we speak. It's a process that comes and goes in the universe. And this is also a stunning thought. Think of that. The universe is mostly about 90% comprised of the baryonic matter, 90% of hydrogen, roughly 9% helium, 1% everything else. So hydrogen is dominating. But when I look around here, I mean, there's some hydrogen bound in the water molecules, but if I knock on the floor here, I mean, that's nitrogen, carbon, silica, a lot of other atoms. This is not representative of the cosmos. So why is that? And the reason for that is a truly simple one, and that is, in our star, our central star, the sun, is a star of the second generation, meaning in the space volume, somewhere in that region, there was already at least one star before that probably ended in a supernova. And supernovae are the chemical furnaces of astronomy. They produce heavier elements, including uranium, polonium, iron, whatever. And that means that almost the majority of the atoms of your body, of our planet, are actually formed by stellar fusion. The iron in your blood, the nitrogen in your bones, so the sodium in your teeth, this has been forged billions of years ago in a supernova. You are star stuff hearing a presentation about star stuff. Isn't that an irony? So we see those processes throughout the cosmos. For instance, we see things like, in this case, the bubble nebulae, where a stellar wind bubble is formed by a massive central hot star. This is about 10,000 light years away. The light we see nowadays here has been emitted at a time when we as a species were just discovering farming and pottery, and we just had domesticated dogs and sheep, by the way. So we're just getting started at this point. We see family portraits like here, the Carina nebulae, where you see a family portraits of stars being born and vanishing again into nothingness. And when a star explodes in a supernova, the wind they are producing, the shock waves they're producing, they're creating a collapse of neighboring gas clouds that again form stars. So like Heracles mentioned that about 600 years BC, that the cosmos is a never-ending fire of becoming and foregoing. So it's a family portrait of stars dying and new ones born. And this even can be taken to a larger level when we talk about, for instance, the antenna galaxies. This galaxy started a merger about 500 million years ago. In 400 million years, they will be fully merged, and we have billions of stars that are converging. They're not colliding, the probabilities are just too low for that. But when the gas clouds come together and started to mix, they are superseding a critical density, so they again form stars. We're talking about star bursts where we see literally every day 1, 2, 3 new stars for hundreds of millions of years. It's a firework of stars being born. And that brings me back to our perspective as humans here to set the stage for the next presentations. You have 2 eyes, each one with 130 million light-sensitive cells in your retina. Each of these cells consists of roughly 100 trillion atoms, many more atoms than there are stars in our galaxy. And think of it, almost each and every one of those atoms was once forged billions of years ago in the heart of a star. And yet all of those trillions of atoms have come together here and now to gather starlight, built by the very same energy which made these kinds of atoms form a long time ago. The universe seems to have a peculiar sense of irony. Indeed, you are the universe experiencing itself. And I would like to conclude with a quote from a philosopher and scientist almost 2,000 years ago, Ptolemy, who said as follows: "Mortal as I am, I know that I'm born for a day. But when I follow at my pleasure the serried multitude of the stars in their circular course, my feet no longer touch the earth." Think of that. Next time you feel raindrops in your face, it's the cosmos kissing you.